They never told you this. Not in school, not at home, not anywhere. Because if you truly understood it, everything about your life would start to change. You believe you're making your own choices, what to do, what to become, how to live. But what if those choices were never really yours to begin with? What if your life is simply a result of conditioning, patterns, influence, programming? And the scariest part is, you don't even notice it happening. If you've made it this far, then you're starting to see what you're missing. So before we go deeper, take a second to like the video, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? I'm curious to see how far this message is reaching. Now, let's connect everything. From the moment you were born, you were placed into a system that already existed long before you arrived. It had rules, expectations, standards, definitions of success, definitions of failure. And without realizing it, you began to absorb all of it, like everyone else. As a child, you didn't question anything. You trusted everything. When they told you what was right, you believed it. When they told you what mattered, you accepted it. When they told you who to become, you listened. Because that's what children do. They learn, they adapt, they follow.
Then came school, and that's where the real shaping began. You were taught to sit still, to raise your hand before speaking, to follow instructions without hesitation. You were rewarded for correct answers, not for asking better questions. You learned to memorize, not to understand, to comply, not to challenge. And slowly, you became used to it. Used to being told what to do, used to following a structure, used to fitting into a system that never asked who you truly were. And by the time you grew older, that system became your reality. Wake up early, go to school, get good grades, go to university, get a job, work hard, retire. That's the formula, the script, the path that millions follow without hesitation. Not because they chose it, but because they were never shown anything else. At first, it feels fine, normal, safe, because everyone around you is doing the same thing, your friends, your family, your community. And when something is repeated enough times, it starts to feel right, even if it isn't.
But then, something begins to feel off. You can't explain it. You can't fully understand it, but you feel it. A quiet discomfort, a sense that something isn't adding up. You look at your life, and it feels like you're just going through the motions. Wake up, work, scroll, sleep, repeat. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into years. And before you know it, time is passing, fast. But nothing really changes. So you start distracting yourself with your phone, with entertainment, with noise, anything to avoid sitting alone with your thoughts, because deep down, you know something isn't right. But here's where it gets deeper. The system doesn't break you overnight. It doesn't force you. It doesn't control you in obvious ways. Instead, it shapes your thinking, slowly, quietly, over time. It teaches you what to value, what to chase, what to fear. It convinces you that success looks one way, that happiness follows a specific path. And once you believe that, you stop exploring anything outside of it. So, you follow the path, the safe path, the predictable path. You choose security over freedom, comfort over growth, approval over authenticity. And without realizing it, you start losing something. Your curiosity, your creativity, your sense of self. Then comes adulthood, where the illusion becomes harder to ignore. You wake up every day, not because you're excited, but because you have to. You go to work, not because you love it, but because you need the money. And slowly, life becomes something you manage, not something you enjoy. You tell yourself, this is just how life is. Everyone goes through this. This is normal. But is it? Or is it just common? Because millions of people living the same way doesn't make it right. It just means the system is working exactly as designed. Think about it. If you're constantly busy, constantly tired, constantly distracted, when do you have time to question anything? When do you have time to think deeply? When do you have time to ask, is this really what I want? The truth is, you don't. And that's the point. Because a person who is always busy is a person who never questions. And a person who never questions never breaks free. But some people do. Not many, but some.
They notice the patterns. They feel the discomfort. They start asking questions. Real questions. Uncomfortable questions. Why do I feel empty? Why does this life feel forced? Why am I doing things I don't even care about? And once those questions start, there's no going back. Because awareness changes everything. You begin to see the world differently. You notice how people follow routines without thinking, how they chase validation, how they avoid discomfort at all costs. You see how easy it is to stay stuck. And suddenly, you understand something powerful. You were never trapped. You were conditioned. And conditioning can be broken. But it requires something most people avoid: responsibility. Because once you see the truth, you can't blame the system anymore. Now, it's on you to decide what you want, to think for yourself, to choose your own path. And that's where things get difficult. Because freedom isn't comfortable. It's uncertain, risky, unpredictable. But it's real. And for the first time, you start living intentionally, not by default, not by expectation, but by choice. So now, you have a decision to make. You can go back, ignore everything, return to the routine, stay comfortable, stay predictable. Or you can step forward, into the unknown, into discomfort, into a life that actually feels like yours. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about the system. It's about you, your choices, your awareness, your direction, and whether you're willing to take control of it. Because no one else will. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to wake you up. No one is going to change your life for you. That responsibility has always been yours. So the question is, what are you going to do with it? Because every single day, you are either building your own life or living one that was built for you. And one day, you'll look back and realize you either chose your path or you followed one. Make sure it was your choice.